Alrighty. Alright then, let's try that again. Hello y'all. I just did a parts run out to Hartford County to pick up a part for the Crown Victoria. So, you know, it's always something with older cars. But looks like the gasket that howdy. Looks like the gasket, if you will, that helps seal the gas tank up where the sending unit bolts in. It looks like it's gone bad and it's like intermittently leaking. Because about a month ago, it was just like pouring gas out. I took it up to the shop, but it had stopped leaking on its own. Mechanic looked at it, smoke tested, but the thing is, because it stopped leaking, the gas line hadn't fallen below where the leak was and stuff like that, and because it wasn't active and everything had dried up by the time they got to the car, it sat for like 4 days, I guess. Yeah, 3 or 4 days, something like that. So it was bone dry by the time they got to it, and they couldn't find anything. We thought maybe I just somehow overtopped it or something like that, and wrote it off. Had no problems for the month. Stopped and got gas on Wednesday. Get home, and lo and behold, she's doing it again. This time I had the opportunity to actually jack the car up and stuck my head underneath, and it looked like it was coming from the sending unit area. So I'm going to try and replace it with just this gasket first. Let's see if that fixes the issue. If not, it's going to be the sending unit itself or even the tank itself. But yeah, right now let's try this first, see what happens, and then worst case scenario, I have to buy a sending unit, which oddly enough, that's more expensive than the gas tank. The gas tank's like $150. Sending unit's $300. But the thing that just really ticked me off with this is that no one around here in this area sold just the gasket. You either had to buy a whole new sending unit, or you have to order it directly from Ford and pick it up at the dealership, or order it from Rock Auto online, and Rock Auto wouldn't have been able to get it to me until next week because of the holiday and stuff, which that wouldn't have worked for me because I work during the week, and next week I'm working overtime, or next weekend I'm working an overtime event and stuff, and all that other good stuff. So the closest dealership that had it was out here in Hartford County, so I drove 40 miles to go get it, which I'm not complaining too bad because right now I am able to burn good bit of gas because I'm hoping to try and get my gas tank below half a tank. So right now I'm not driving without overdrive on, but like past 2 days I've been driving around with overdrive off, just trying to suck down as much gas as I can. I used a quarter tank and only went 30 miles. I think it was like 38 miles, something like that. This crapshoot. But just like last time though, the leak stopped on its own again. But now that I'm confident in what the issue is, I'm going to try replacing this gasket, see what happens. Because otherwise the next step would be to order a new sending unit and go from there. could be that. And the other thing is too, when I do this job tomorrow, I'm hoping to I'm going to look at the actual like sending unit, make sure it's not cracked, do my best to look at the gas tank as best. But been there and done that with the power steering pump. Back in Baltimore County already. What the hell are you doing, Toyota? But I also can't complain too much about this gasket. This gasket's a whole whopping, I think, $52.55 after tax. So I can't complain too much. Oh, there is my check engine light. I wonder if I'm leaking gas again. Which I'm okay with. Not an evap problem. That means it's still there. So you know what? Perfectly okay with that. Because that was the other thing. I probably should have known better, but the day before before it was just pouring gas out the back, I had a check engine light come on for an evap leak, but it registered as a small one, not a big one, but a small one. And my usual SOP for that is to check the gas cap, reset the light, see if it comes back. And thing is, it didn't come back right away. So I'm like, cool, it must have just been the gas cap. It wasn't. It's a stupid gasket or whatever the hell it is. So yeah, right now I'm just on my way back to I'm going to run up to Hanover, Pennsylvania. I'm going to let you guys tag along to that. Because even though there's Harbor Freight stores that have the tool I need to get that are closer, right now I'm just in operation waste gas. So I'm just going to waste as much gas as I can and call it a day. Try and get this tank as low as I can. So tomorrow, when I go to fix it, when I unbolt the sending unit, I'm not spilling gasoline all over my garage. That would be bad. Swear to God, Toyota, you got me at the front file. Blowing the horn at you. Oh, shocker, you're driving like one. Good old I-95 never ceases to just be I-95. We're in an active construction zone. Speed limit 65. I'm actually doing 70 right now. Well, under 70, like 69. But stupid Toyota behind is that Yukon just thing as a Yukon, either that or it's Tahoe, just cut across the highway for absolutely no reason. It's probably going to start coming back any second now. Because, can't take the fucking hit. He's in such a hurry that he will ride your ass all day long. Pat will finally go around you just to slow down and get right back, and then, people are going down towards Essex. I wonder why. Shocker, the guy just made a last-second decision to go towards Essex. He's a great driver, A+. I don't have to deal with that moron anymore. Trucks can be at times. It's nice though today. For being 5:41 on the outer loop of 695, traffic is moving really good right now. really can't complain about this. I've been on this highway where it's taking you an hour just to go like 3 exits. Something else that's new that I can talk about. So I've noticed over the past like couple months, the camera that I originally had in this car, which is a Rove, I think it was like 4K or 2K something dash cam, I can't remember. I just know that they were like obnoxiously large, but it was a good camera. The quality was amazing for a camera that really wasn't that expensive. I think I paid like $100 for mine back when I first bought it, which was in 2019, and spent like $100 on it. It was GPS, had speed, GPS coordinates, you know, all the stuff that I like to have in my videos. Use that way if anyone ever is like curious about like a certain intersection or certain stretch of roadway, you know, they can pull up the, you know, video with the GPS coordinates. That way, if someone's like, is that really how the intersection is, or is that really how the speed limit? You know, they can pull up the intersection, they can pull up the road, and you don't have to be a local to do it. You know. But excuse me. But anywho, I know. So if you like about 6 months ago or so, I noticed like actually it might have been a year ago at this point. The batteries was starting just not to last at all. So it's like as soon as I would turn the camera off, it would start to spaz out. It would die really quickly, instead of, you know, doing its normal power off sequence. And so it was starting to have problems. So I actually looked it up and I found a way to replace the battery. Got a new battery for it, replaced it. I was actually very proud of myself. So I'd never done anything like that before, and I was able to fix it. I don't know if when I put it back together I messed something up, or if the camera itself is just starting to, you know, wear out, age out, and it's just starting to have problems and stuff. But I've noticed that it's just not as crisp as it used to be. And there are like times when I'm sitting there reviewing the footage and it's just completely out of focus. But then other times I would get in it and review the footage and it would be crystal clear. So I really don't know what was going on with that. And I had to take the old Garmin that I had in my Aztec, my original Aztec, that I had pulled out, and I made it, essentially it became a backup camera that I could use if in my dash cams had a problem, or, you know, I got into like one of my parents' cars or something like that. I could still have a camera and use it, because the one time I almost got into one of those situations where you would need a dash cam to prove that you weren't the one at fault. You know, I was driving my dad's truck without a camera. I was sitting at a, it was my dad's old truck, it was his old Ranger. I was, I think we had gone to like an Orioles game or something, and somehow I ended up driving his car back instead of driving mine or something. I can't remember why, or like why we did it, but we did it. And so we're riding back. I'm sitting at the red light at the end of 83, where it turns back into Falls Road. And car in front of me, it was like a race car. You know, it had the modified exhaust on it, and you know, it had like, I could see through the tinted windows and stuff, that it had like the aftermarket seats and things like that in it. And he just starts rolling backwards towards me. You know, and so I start hitting the horn like beep beep, because he's actively rolling back towards me. I get to the point where I just lay on the horn because he's rolling right back towards the truck. Finally, the light just happened to go green, so he stopped and started to drive forward, and then he ends up pulling off and lets me go past him. I don't know if he thought I was raging at him or road raging or what, but he was completely clueless to the fact that he was rolling back towards me. At least I think he was, you know, or at least he made it appear that that's what happened or whatnot, because it seemed like he thought I was raging or road raging or something at him, because I was just blowing the horn at him for no reason. And it was just one of those, like, at that point, I actually, that like following week, that following payday, I went and bought a like spare camera for that reason, and then I started running it whenever, you know, I took my dad's truck somewhere or my mom's car somewhere, or anyone else's car that wasn't mine. We're here because we're entering a construction zone that has speed cameras, so I'm slowing down. I'm not getting one of those stupid tickets. But yeah, it was. So I moved that camera over in this car, and that's what I use now, and it's a good camera. I like it. Because it's very similar to like the rear camera in this car. It's just another Garmin. I think it's a Garmin 46 is what I have in or what I bought for that car. But hey, another Panther body. It's always nice to see one of those out on the road. He's got the towing package of his. That's awesome. So even though Ford says it doesn't, these cars actually have a pretty good towing capacity, especially you have the upgraded brakes like on these. So this is the Police Interceptor model, so I think they have a slightly larger brake pad and rotor than the standard Panther body vehicle, if I recall correctly. Anyway, I very well could be just talking out the ass here, I don't know, but these cars actually have a pretty decent sized towing capacity. These 4.6 liters, they really don't work that hard to move these cars. It's one of the reasons why these motors, even after spending, you know, well, this car was in service for I think 12 years before it retired. You know, there's a reason why these cars last forever. You know, the motor doesn't really have to work hard to move the vehicle and drive it around and stuff, and it can handle that abuse too. And they're easy to work on. But I'm like a hair above half a tank, which is nice to see. So I'm hoping that I'll be below half a tank. What I might end up doing is that before I work on this tomorrow, I might just get in it and take it for, you know, 30-minute, 45-minute drive or something. Just go somewhere, and because it's not actively leaking again. Well, it might be because the check engine light came back on. But we'll cross that bridge. But since it's so low, or since it's so much lower at this point, which even if it is leaking, that would actually be helpful. I hate to say that. I don't want to be spewing gas everywhere. It's stressing about that for the past like 2 days because of that. Because it's like I'm not worried about necessarily a fire risk, but it's just like I don't want to be dripping and losing gasoline on the middle of the fucking road. Or I go somewhere and I park and my car leaves a nice puddle of gasoline. I've been legitimately like carrying one of those like when I change the oil in this thing, I've been carrying that, and when I know I'm parking the car for extended periods, I'll slide it underneath. Like I took, like since I've been trying to use gas, I don't usually drive this on Fridays. Usually I drive my Aztec on Fridays because then I get that guaranteed, like I drove it, recharged the battery, keep it up the snuff, put miles on it, get all the fluids up to temperature, let them do their thing. That way it's not just sitting. That's the worst thing you can do to a car. Why are we doing 50? Again, I still can't complain too bad about this area, because it's 6 o'clock on Friday evening on 695. For the most part, except for like just the fact that this semi car carrier up there is just driving slow. We're moving at the speed limit. It's like unheard of for this road. Shit. I am exhausted. I had a very late night last night. I did an overtime detail. Didn't get home until I think just before midnight, and then I didn't get to sleep until like 1:30, and then had to be right up and early, bright and early this morning to go back into work. But hey, I won't complain too much. I don't get much overtime in my position, and so this is my busy time of year when I get a good bit of overtime from work. Side jobs come up. Because winter and early spring are my slow times at work. It's really things kind of, for me, like work-wise, things kind of fall off right there by Thanksgiving. Anything going on until late May, June. Except for maybe like here or there. What is something now, guys? We're doing under the speed limit. Driving Mercedes. Act like it. I cut everybody off. Go stupid speeds for no reason. What is this? I might do when I start getting closer to like Hampstead and stuff, I might turn my overdrive back off again and drive up to Hanover without overdrive. Truck's going faster than I thought it was. Sometimes, like, people seem like they're going faster than they really are, or they aren't, because, like, this truck, for a second there, and now I'm catching back up to him, but for a minute there, it looked like he was going a lot slower than he ended up being, which is why I didn't get over right away. But he's actually going at pretty decent speed. This is weird. Either that or he sped up on the thing, but it's just funny how that is, though. thing about it too. It appears that this coming year I'm probably not going to Florida. However, because of that, I'm actually thinking about taking a nice vacation up to Vermont. So I don't know if people, follow the channel, so too closely or whatnot, but I know last year, or not last year, back in what was that, April, I went up to Vermont for the solar eclipse, which that was an amazing experience. That was awesome and well worth it. And y'all are still around, and it was 2044 and 2045 when the next ones hit the United States. I highly recommend you go check it out. It is awesome. Anywho, I had started making plans to go see it back, in 2023 when I really first started learning about it, heard about it. And I actually had booked a hotel. I was planning on actually going up to Erie, Pennsylvania for it. And I was, watching the weather, keeping an eye on the weather, making sure the weather was, holding up, was going to be good, etc. for it. And Wednesday before the eclipse, so the eclipse was on a Monday. The Wednesday before the eclipse, the weather in Erie just took a complete and total crap. Really, everything up in that whole part of the country, the weather just turned to a complete crap. And New England was actually going to be the best place to see it. And New England, we're only added like an extra 2 hours to the drive. So I started looking for hotels, anywhere close to, reasonably close, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get up like in totality or like within like a 30-minute, half-hour drive of it. I knew everything was already going to be booked out, and it was. But I found this random Hilton Inn, Hampton Inn, sorry, there we go. This random Hampton Inn that was not sold out, still at reasonable pricing. Like, it wasn't, the $300, $400. I even saw $1,000 a night for a few hotels that had availability. It was just a standard $170. So I booked it, completely redid my itinerary, completely replanned everything. I originally was planning on going to Burlington, Vermont, to watch the eclipse, but then the weather there was starting to get a little questionable. And by questionable, like, it was supposed to be like what it is right now. It was partly cloudy, but there was like supposed to be 50% cloud coverage, which is enough for me to be like, no, especially because I'm driving 6-7 hours to get up there, and then having to drive an additional 2 hours to get to totality. I wanted to make sure I did everything in my power to give myself as good of a chance to see it as I possibly could. So I ended up rerouting at the last minute that very morning to a little town called Newport, Vermont, which is 15 minutes from the U.S.-Canada border. Drove up there because it actually only added an extra 20 minutes to my drive from Burlington. Which is always funny because they're in different parts of the state. In fact, they're 2 hours apart from each other. But it only adds 20 minutes because of where I was at. But anyhow. So I went up there, went to this little town. It's got a year-round population of like 4,400 people. It's the largest town in the county. And we easily quadrupled that town's population. There's no doubt in my mind that we quadrupled it. Because, I mean, there was just people everywhere. I saw a video that someone posted that was from Newport itself, too, where they went to the local supercenter, Walmart supercenter, and there was a whole, just hundreds of people, you know, camped out in the Walmart parking lot. I mean, like, it was insane. And, it only took me like 2 hours to drive. Actually, no, I don't even think it was 2 hours. I think it was like, what, an hour and a half or something like that? I can't remember for sure. If you Google Keene, New Hampshire, or directions from Keene, New Hampshire to Newport, Vermont, it would tell you. It was like, I think it was like close to 2 hours. I made it from Keene, New Hampshire to Newport in about 2 hours. After the eclipse and everyone got in their cars and started driving, back home, back south, back to their hotels, whatever, I got stuck in a 100+ mile long traffic jam. 100-mile long traffic jam. Let that sink in. 100 miles. Well, it only took me about 2 hours to drive north. It took me 6 hours and 48 minutes to drive back south. That was a spectacle in of itself. The highlight and beautiful thing of the whole experience. But the traffic in of itself, to me anyway, was just like, I'd never seen anything like that. And being a car guy, being a person into highways, roads and how they function, and the engineering and stuff that goes behind them. It seeing such a massive overload on the local road network, and just seeing how, no matter what road you looked at, it was just gridlocked. Except for northbound. Northbound was wide open. Any road going southbound, you just forget about it. You were not going anywhere. You weren't going anywhere anytime soon. And it was amazing. It was, but the one thing I definitely want to do is I want to go back and actually have a better, I want to experience Vermont and New Hampshire more, because when I was there, I was only there for really 2-3 days, because since I had to rebook and stuff, my hotel and things at the last minute and things like that, it just, it kind of changed budgets and, budgeting and all that other good stuff now. And having to plan around work and stuff. I only burn 2 vacation days, even though I could burn more if I wanted to, but I didn't get a chance to really explore. But from what I could see when I was up there, it was amazing. I love the mountains. I know a lot of people, especially here in Maryland, are very much into the ocean, going to the beach. Hence why we have 10-mile long backups to go over okay. Hence why we have 10-mile long backups to go over the Bay Bridge. But there's just something peaceful about going to the mountains and just, you can just sit there with the doors, the windows open, sitting on the porch, whatever, and just listen to just nature. You're not necessarily listening to people going around screaming, going to clubs and stuff like that. That stuff just isn't for me. To each their own. For the people that enjoy doing that, more power to them. But that's just not for me. But it was just, I very much enjoyed going up there and seeing the mountains and stuff. And so I'm planning on making a night, since I'm not going to go to Florida, it seems like, if that holds true. And even if it doesn't hold true, I might still just do it just to do it. Because I definitely have to leave time to do it. But to go up there and enjoy it, and just explore, visit like Mount Washington and stuff like that. Because it definitely was a really cool place. It's still, and it's funny too, because this still sits in my head. By Maryland standards, I would say I live in a pretty rural area. We got a lot of farming. It's still a major part of the local economy is farming in this area. But there's just something when you go up to like Vermont and you are in that area where there really isn't that many people. It was really wicked. Because like I saw one of their school buses. It was a Chevy Equinox. I'm not even kidding. It was a Chevy Equinox that had a little sign like attached to the top that said school bus with red lights on it. That was their school bus for that area. I thought that was amazing. Never seen anything like it. I know some people that live in rural areas are probably like, yeah, no, that's normal. We don't have big regular yellow school buses. We might have a small one or whatever the case may be. But to me, that was like something I'd never seen like that, anything like that before, and I was just like, that to me was just wicked. And the fact that it was a Chevy Equinox, I think that was even more like entertaining in of itself. That this little Equinox is like, I'm a school bus. Yep. It's one of the circles around here, but in my experience, I don't have as many problems at this one than I have at the next one. I think it's because the next one, it's speed limit's higher. Now we went from being on a 50-mile-an-hour road to now we're on 55. And that circle, I feel, is busier because you have traffic going from Hampstead to Westminster, Westminster to Hampstead. Plus, you have all the people on this road that are going from, Baltimore up north towards Pennsylvania, and the opposite way too. You got people going. It's just, I feel like that one's just busier. Supposedly, so we're right now going under Houcksville Road. Supposedly, just to my left, they plan on building a huge new development. I know it's in the planning phase. I don't know where in the planning phase it's at. I don't know if it's something that, it'll happen next year or two, or if it's something that's, not going to happen for another 5-10 years. I don't know. I know it's going to happen. I just don't know where logistically things are. But I really dread the day that they do that, and I say that just because the road that development's going to be on, it's already relatively busy from just local traffic. Now you're at a whole nother development that's supposed to be the size of Roberts Field, which is a major neighborhood in Hampstead. Traffic's going to be a nightmare on that road, and it's one of those. I kind of hope that if they really if they are going to go through that, they add like on and off ramps to this road to try and alleviate traffic as much as they can. Because that would get people that are like going to Walmart and stuff. They can hop right on this and not have to, drive into town, cut through like the other neighborhoods and stuff like that. They would have a direct line just to get on the road. officially, looks like I'm officially below half a tank just by that little bit, just that little bit. So going 120. I put 124 miles on this thing in 2 days. So that's definitely gonna help making this repair tomorrow a lot easier. Really, if I'm like halfway between half a tank and a quarter, so what, 5/8 of a tank, I will be content with that, and I will be more than happy to like work on it then, or 3/8 of a tank left, I guess. I should be below that like line, so when I go to take the stuff out, I'm not necessarily worried about gas going every freaking where. It's just a pain in the ass. Especially because, you know, the car had to make it difficult. You couldn't do it for the mechanic when I was in the shop. So I would have just paid them to do it. I mean, I could still just have them, or pay them to do it now, but to save a buck, I'm going to try doing it myself. It's still annoying though. Because it's always something with older cars. It's always something. That guy's going around the circle again. Can't maintain his lane either. I think it's fine. Pennsylvania likes to go slow until someone passes them. Classic Pennsylvania. And then they speed, and then they go right back to being slow again. It's like, it's funny. There isn't much that Maryland, Jersey, and New York would probably agree on. But there's one thing. When you see that license plate, that blue, white, and yellow license plate, you know that they're going to do something stupid at some point, or they're going to take you off at some point, or do something stupid. It's just funny. A friend of mine that lives in Jersey, that lives just over the Jersey line, or just over the line in Jersey from outside Philadelphia. He now realizes what I complain about. I've talked to a guy that grew up and lived up in Buffalo, New York, and he says the same thing about PA tags. It's freaking, it just makes me laugh. There's Tulpa back there. Shoot, you know, tonight's probably last night, tonight or tomorrow night. The Manchester Carnival's going on. forget if when the last night is. Actually, I really can't remember. I remember as a kid, I used to go to them all the freaking time. Now it's like the only one I really go to anymore is Hampstead's. There's sheets. If you're from the this region, this area, and you have a flex fuel capable car or vehicle that was a 2001 newer that can run on E88, that sheets back there sells both flex fuel and the E88, or regular 88, whatever you want to call it, which is instead of 10% ethanol, it's up to 15%. And then flex fuel can be up to 80% ethanol. That's actually what I've been running, because when you own a car like this that gets horrible gas mileage to begin with, especially doing city driving, which pretty much all it does these days. Well, I should say city driving. It is doing like highway speeds and stuff, going between towns, but you know, it's not like getting on 83 and stuff like that. It's just roads like this, and you know, but so whenever you get, you know, great trashy gas mileage as it is, it's just nice that this thing I think I get like 15 average, between 15 and 17 averaging is, you know, hashtag that V8 life. But with E85, I think I've been averaging like 13, which is about 20%, which is what they say they expect. For me, the change with how crappy gas mileage I usually get, you know, that to me really isn't that much of a big difference. And I've so far been doing the math, and so far I'm still in the black. So I'm going to keep using it until, you know, either I decide to stop using it or whatever. Guys remember seeing, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but there was that silver Explorer that was doing speed. I'm assuming he was doing speed, or she. Up back at that church on the other side of Manchester. They apparently pulled out. They're behind me now. Not for me, because I wasn't speeding. And they're also like a good bit back. They're not like getting my ass. Although looking at the time with their deputy, they're probably just got off of work. Or they're about to, and they're probably just heading home. cross into good old Pennsylvania. There's the line. And the road goes crap. Well, So I very rarely have to come up this way in the morning, but I hear that this little coffee place right here, Britain Coffee Co. Apparently one of the better coffee places in this like whole area, both southern New York and like Carroll County. I hear really good things about them, but the thing is, I never have to come up this way, and it's a little out of my way to go there for coffee in the morning. But so I've yet to try them yet. The new part is the gasket that goes around the fuel sending unit in the gas tank. My current one has gone bad. At least I think that's what it is. So that's where it seems that the fuel is leaking out of. So the Crown Victoria, the car I'm driving now actually, it's about a month ago it sprung a gas leak. My father, like, he's my witness, it was, leaking gas. The leak slows to a trickle and eventually stops. So my dad and I didn't have time to worry about working on it. I dropped off to the mechanic. The mechanic gets it. They don't get to it for technically it was like 2 business days, but 4 days, because it happened on a Thursday. Dropped it off Thursday. They didn't get it till Friday. I can't remember if it was Monday or if it was Tuesday that they got to it, but it sat for 2 days, or it sat for a couple days, and the leak had actually stopped itself, fixed itself. they did a smoke test and stuff on it, which I even now just thinking about it, since the leak had stopped itself, the gas was above where the leak is. So the smoke test wouldn't have shown it. But they did, the smoke test, everything passed, it wasn't leaking gas anymore. So we just figured I had somehow overtopped the tank. Well, ooh, look at that little Crown Vic. She purty. Oh no, that's a Grand Marquis actually. Ooh, pretty. Anywho, the car was fine for a month. I went to fill it up Wednesday night after work. Sure as shit, again, it's just leaking gas all over the place. This time, I had the opportunity to actually jack the car up, and I poked my head underneath of it, tried to see where the leak is, and it looks like it's coming from the sending unit area. So instead of going and buying a whole new sending unit, because obviously my gas pump works and my float works, so I don't need a new sending unit. I'm hoping that by switching out the gasket, that fixes the problem. Otherwise, my next steps would be to replace the sending unit as a whole, so maybe, or whatnot. But I'm currently on my way up to Harbor Freight right now, and because just like last time, the gas leak stopped itself. So right now, I'm trying to, since it still had a decent amount of gas in it, it was still practically full. I'm currently just, running around trying to put miles on it. Normally I would have been irritated to having to go to Harford County, all the way to Harford County from Carroll County to pick up a part. But I've been able to burn a good bit of gas, and I'm actually now below half a tank, which is what I need this to be under. So it's easier for me to pull the sending unit out, and hopefully I'm not spilling gas everywhere when I unbolt it. Ooh, there's a Crown Vic down there at the pump. Well, that one actually looks really nice. It's in that navy blue color that they came in. Looks nice. I mean, it's a little dirty, but overall that one looks like in pretty nice shape. But yeah, so although my check engine light came back on, probably most likely for the evap leak, that's affiliated with this gas leak. So that to me is a good sign that, the computer is now starting to recognize that, hey, we got a problem. And the problem is, there. So, this $50 gasket, will hopefully solve my issue, and I don't have to go buy a $300 sending unit or buy a $150 gas tank. Both of those suck. Because I've already had the gas tank replaced on this 2 years ago, almost to the day, really. I think it was the 13th of July. The reason why I remember that is because when the leak first occurred, I looked it up, and I think it was July 13th when I got billed for getting the new gas tank the last time. But yeah, it was actually just surprising though. No parts store in this area had this gasket. None. No one's even sold it on their website. The only place you can just buy just the gasket, not the full sending unit, is either Ford directly or rockauto.com. And normally, really, if I wasn't in a time crunch right now, because tomorrow, this weekend's really the only open weekend I have for the next few weeks. I would have had to take it back up to the shop again and let them do it, and spend the labor and stuff like that. and still have to, you know, refill my gas tank and, you know, all that other good stuff. But so now I'm trying to hopefully save a little bit of money and just be out the gas I just have to waste, you know, the past 2 days. But again, it's giving me good vibes that the check engine light came on. I know that's weird to hear, but the fact that it's coming on is telling me it's still detecting that, or right now it's detecting that there's an evap leak. So that tells me that maybe it finally got to the point where that I needed it to be, so I can actually, you know, get it fixed. And not play this stupid game of like, oh, I'm broken, I'm gonna spill gas everywhere. Just kidding, I'm fine. Just kidding, I'm gonna spill gas everywhere again. Like, you know, that type of bullcrap. So like right now, I'm currently going up the Harbor Freight to get the gas line disconnecting tool to make life a little bit easier, to take the gas lines and stuff off when I get underneath the car tomorrow. And so I'm going to try and knock it out tomorrow morning. So hopefully it shouldn't take me too long. Hopefully. You know, famous last words, but... God damn, am I like going to get hit by every red light on this side of Hanover? Like, good lord. So yeah, I'm just happy though that hopefully this fixes it, because a $52 gasket is definitely a lot better than having to buy a $300 sending unit. Because that would be my only other like thing at this point, is that either the sending unit is cracked or something and it's leaking gas out, or the tank itself is cracked or something. Just be a pain in the ass. The car's like, to be like that. You guys ever want to see an intersection that's just a cluster? This is one. And the fuel sending unit on these is actually in the tank. So that's where the fuel pump is, the fuel float, like everything related to that stuff is in the back. And part of the reason that they did it that way is their logic is the gasoline actually helps lubricate the pump and stuff. That's one of the reasons why they tell you it's really bad to let run your car dry, because you'll burn up the pump doing that. But I'm like getting down my gas gauge down to where I want it to be, which is that like core, like 5/8, like 3/8 of a tank left. You know, a little bit above quarter, but it's below half a tank. So hopefully tomorrow when I go to unbolt everything, I don't have, if any, very little gas come out when I unbolt it. Hopefully it'll be below that line. But I'm going to be doing something similar to this in my Aztec in the next few weeks too, because the float in my Aztec went bad, and in order to fix that, you do have to replace the full sending unit. And that one, I'm not going to be too worried about replacing it. That car is going to be 25 years old this year. And as far as I'm aware, that's the original fuels unit, the original sending unit. You know, it's probably not a bad idea to replace it. And I can still buy an OEM one from General Motors through Rock Auto. It has a beautiful car. I want it. I don't have the money, but I want it. Ugh, beautiful Bel Air. Ugh. Anyway. But yeah, they you know, so I'm going to be replacing that one probably here in the next few weeks. But probably won't be until August in all reality, because trying to, even though I have the money to do it now, and like once I get to August, I'll get some weekend time again to me, and that one's going to be a little bit more in depth than this one is. So this one, I don't have to drop the tank to replace the sending unit, or this gasket in this case. The other car, the Aztec, I do have to drop the tank, so I will have to do that, and that will be a little bit more in depth and stuff like that, and do a little bit more research, make sure I do it right. Ah, you have to access it that way. Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. And if you look up the video for the Crown Victoria, it's or any Panther body, it's the same apparently on the Marquis and Town Car. You just have to the one video I watched, guys, like, just pull out your trusty 13, aka your foot, and you push the exhaust pipe. You know, you push it off the, you know, center just that little bit, and you get all the space you need to pull the stupid thing out. You don't have to drop the whole tank. I think probably the, you know, the correct, you know, if you were a service tech at Ford, you know, probably the correct thing is to, you know, do what I'm going to be doing, or it's probably to drop the tank and, you know, do all that fancy stuff. But especially because I now got it below half a tank, I'm going to do it this other way. I agree with you on that one. That's one of the reasons why I try to stay like with OEM parts, because I most of the time those come with better warranties than the like true aftermarket ones. But like, again, in my case, since like is like I lucked out because like Motorcraft, I could get this one from the dealership still, so I lucked out in that regard. But I really do know that I lucked out in that. It's, you know, I feel like it's kind of commonplace that you get screwed over in that regard quite a bit. It was also one of the reasons why, if I needed to buy a new sending unit, I was going to go to AutoZone, because I want to have gift cards there that I got for Christmas, and I can get a sending unit for $311, the full assembly. I can get one from there. It's the Delphi, which I think used to be owned by AC Delco. It got sold off a couple years ago, apparently. And now I think they might have gone bankrupt from what I've been reading. But AutoZone still has pumps, and people told me that those are really good pumps and that they're just as good, if not better, than OEM, which is actually kind of surprising because a lot of times when I'm on that forum, that page specifically, people are like, it's Motorcraft or nothing. So the fact that people are like, yeah, Delphi is good, it's like, oh wow, this is actually one of the few good things that, aftermarket things that people on this page recommend. God damn it. Although personally, I usually use like if I do a repair myself, it's I either use OEM if it's available and it's not like terribly expensive, or I use like CarQuest. That's like Advanced Autos brand, and the one independent parts store in my town is a CarQuest store. So I've never had any problems with any of their stuff. It's this one right, or is it the next one? It's the next one. Where's the big Harbor Freight sign? There he is. Yeah, it's this next intersection. Alright, I know. I remember where it is now. Get me my fuel line disconnect tool, which will come in handy when I do the other one on the Aztec. So this isn't one of those like, ooh, I just bought a tool for once, a one-time thing. Ontario. Fuck. Where the fuck are you? You're a little far from home. Anyhow. Oh, they put a cart return in my parking spot. Those bastards. Usually parked right there. Like this. The site said that they're open until 8, so definitely happy I got the gas tank low, so it'll make life a little bit easier tomorrow. So, I guess I'm going to call the video here. What does that thing do? Okay. I'm going to call the stream here. So I'm going to run inside, get this part. Pardon me, I might get dinner up here. I know my mom said she was making meatloaf, but I really don't feel like meatloaf. I don't know why I feel like, but I just don't feel like meatloaf. And thankfully it was like one of those like Stouffer's ones. It's not like she made it this time. If she made it, then I would feel obligated. But it's one of those, pre-made frozen ones, so I don't feel that. So, alrighty guys, well, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to end the stream here. Wish me luck tomorrow when I try to fix this gas leak. See ya.